Hey guys, and welcome to my live. I'm so sorry that I am late. We were just fixing a few things, but I'm joined by Tazim, and I don't know if you remember our conversation during COVID. It was one of my favorite conversations to date, and today we will be talking about toxic positivity. But before we start, maybe Tazim, you can share a bit about yourself as if they don't know you.
Okay, so my name is Tazim Elkington. I'm referred to as the Indian black butterfly. And why the Indian black butterfly? Because Indian, it took me over half my life to accept that this is the lane I chose to be born in. Black, because I'm born on this beautiful continent. And butterfly, because butterfly is the greatest symbol of transformation and freedom.
Amazing, I love that. So as I said, today we're talking about toxic positivity, and actually even before we started, we're joined by my team here today, and people actually don't know what toxic positivity is. And I do think also personally, even though I do know it, I feel like it's complicated, and so maybe you can share what exactly toxic positivity is.
So let's break those two words up.
Okay.
And why, like Khalif said, toxic and positivity in the same sentence.
Yeah,
well, so first of all, let's talk about positive and negative. And what makes things negative or positive? What makes things negative or positive is a person's personal experience of how they perceive it, how they experience it, how they feel about it, how they think about things. So actually, energy is neutral until you actually identify and name it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say so-and-so is a negative person or says negative things, it's because you've got the experience of interacting with that person and it makes you feel it doesn't resonate with you.
Yeah.
So this is how this whole negative positive thing has come about and taken, since the 90s, like a wave, negative, positive, I don't like this is negative for me. So I went through that phase myself.
Yeah.
And then when I realized the actuality of it, my foot couldn't reach my backside to be able to kick myself and say, did you get it? So, literally. So I'm not as flexible as you are, even when you're pregnant. So, basically, toxic positivity is this movement of people, and so many people have jumped on this bandwagon where, you know what, we have to be positive.
Yeah.
Excuse me? What do you mean by we have to be positive? Your state of mind dictates what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So when your state of mind, with its layers and layers and layers of conditioning and memory, is telling you, I feel terrible right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going about saying, yes, but I have to be positive.
Mm.
So what happens is that actually creates more internal conflict than people realize. Because first of all, there's denial about what you're actually feeling. Secondly, there's denial of the emotions
Mm-hmm.
that have accumulated. And thirdly, you on the outside are trying to speak words and do affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
mostly so that how you're perceived is different. And that doesn't make sense. Internally, what one creates when they do this is they create more conflict and more separation.
Mm.
And people need to be aware of this.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely guilty of that, because there was a phase I went through where I would be upset, but then I'm trying to mask it with all these affirmations on Instagram. So I'm constantly sharing these affirmations like, I'm having a really bad day, but you gotta kickstart, I don't know, whatever those affirmations are, and you're just sharing all these things to kind of try and be positive, but really you're going through a really shitty time. Yeah, so I've definitely been kind of guilty of just trying to make myself feel better on the outside.
And this is where the split comes in. And part of it is because we have so negated our entire range of emotions. You know, happy is what everybody's selling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Buy this, you'll be happier. Watch this, you'll be happier. Get so many thousand followers and you feel happier.
Yeah.
Wear this and you feel brighter.
Mm-hmm.
Drive this, and so on and so forth, right? So what's happened is since industrialization, since capitalism came into being, the only way sales could go up and consumerism could rise, which was the whole point of capitalism, was to bring in happy.
Mm-hmm.
And that happy is still selling, man. This is what, 80 years later?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I called you man.
Yeah.
Lady. Yeah, it's still selling. You know, I remember while I lived in Toronto, there was a billboard the size bigger than the wall in this apartment, and it said, buy this big bottle of perfume and karma will give you this smaller bottle free.
Wow.
And it'll make you happy.
Wow.
So what's happened in the process is we've negated the whole range of emotions. What people also need to realize is that every emotion has a direct opposite. And both are two sides of the coin. So when we try to deny ourselves of one,
Mm-hmm.
we're actually denying ourselves of both. Because when you can't feel one emotion properly, you cannot feel the other emotion properly. So what happens? That conflict keeps getting. And this real rush for happy is actually doesn't make sense for one thing. And secondly, how long does an emotion last?
40 seconds?
You remember?
I remember. I remember. Because I've been using that actually. When I'm feeling the emotion, I'm trying to like just now hone into it, like listen to it, don't react until it's over. And it's really been helping me a lot.
There we go.
Yeah.
So even anger, when something, remember that our emotions, like the range of emotions people talk about from bliss to rage or rage to bliss,
Mm-hmm.
with all the different shades, right? So each emotion will come and go.
Yeah.
And so even anger, as you observe it, what causes anger, what causes frustration, what causes these emotions, always is a trigger from something in the past.
Yeah.
So if you don't examine it, you're ignoring it, and it's not going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
You're denying and ignoring an emotion that is being triggered by something that is unresolved in your past.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to address it. Not let me start to say, I am going to feel happy. It doesn't work, right?
Yeah. Definitely. Why is it important to address this? I guess you've just talked about it because it's something from your past you need to take care of. Yeah, okay.
So people are walking around with unresolved baggage because not only do we have baggage from our own lives, as in this life,
Yeah.
we have baggage that we're carrying from our parents, our grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
great-grandparents, so our entire lineage, we're carrying it, for one thing. Secondly, we're carrying generational and ancestral baggage.
Mm-hmm.
We're carrying traditional, cultural, racial, tribal, religious, educational, social, economical, all of that baggage.
Yeah.
And this is an opportunity. People need to see this as an opportunity. That now is the time you can resolve all of this.
Mm.
And why do you need to resolve it? Let's take your example. You have little children,
Mm-hmm.
and you have a third one on the way.
Yeah.
You don't want to transfer that to them.
Yeah.
So if you don't resolve your stuff, knowingly, unknowingly, consciously, unconsciously, you're transferring your baggage, even the stuff you don't talk about. Children can feel things.
Mm-hmm.
So, do we want the planet to change? Do we want things to be different? Or do we want to keep repeating the same things we've been doing? No. Hence, the need to address it.
Yeah. And that's by seeing a therapist, life coach, and the
all of that, plus being responsible to address your own stuff. Even identifying, allowing it to come up, examine it, identify what's going on. Then the other thing we're not taught since we're children, one of the things that makes me laugh so many times, and I've now actually extracted myself from such situations, is how people like to complain. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh? What are people doing when they're complaining? People are actually swimming in their own pool of shit. And they keep adding more to it. And they keep swimming in it. And they keep talking about it. Instead of stepping out and saying, you know what? I need to find solutions now. This is enough.
Yeah.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I have to find a solution. It ain't working.
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. I've had to do that. I feel like that's what I've done this year,
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
for you. If something isn't working, there's no way you're going to change the other person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So taking responsibility and saying, okay, I've got to do something different, right?
Yeah. Amen. Yeah. And it's hard to reach that point because it takes time depending on whatever situation it is, but it takes a lot of time and you lie to yourself that things are a certain way when really I think people around you can see that, but no one can really tell you to your face like, Tatiana, you you know what I mean? Like it's just difficult to see that until the day that you do, and then you realize, okay, I really need to change whatever situation this is. I'm trying not to get specific with
And
what
personal.
I'm saying. Yeah, and personal. Yeah, how does the mind function?
Okay, the reason why this question is really important is because it's a very simple theory of the mind that was created by a guy called John Kappas. And this theory of the mind is used in fields of hypnotherapy, regression therapy, psychotherapy, psychology. And what he did was he just drew a circle and defined the mind as a circle. And this conscious mind we're using right now is 8 to 10% of our mind. Only 8 to 10%. The rest of our mind is 90 to 92%, which consists of entirely of our subconscious mind, within which there's a primitive mind, and I'm not going to go into the primitive mind at the moment. And the primitive mind is a portion, but the large chunk is the subconscious mind. And so the subconscious mind carries all our memories, all our programs. It's like a CPU in a computer. And between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, there are two filters, conscious mind filter and the subconscious mind filter. So now, whatever we're discussing, after about 2 hours, even if you're sitting in a meeting, after about 1.5 hour, 45 minutes, you just start to feel a little bit like this.
Yeah.
That's because the capacity of that present mind is full. So what happens is when it gets full, all that information drops into this filter space. And all day we keep doing this. Then at night when we sleep is when the mind processes. That's why good sleep is really important. And enough sleep is important. And then as we process, we vent out through dreams, we vent out in different ways through the mind. Then whatever's left goes down and either strengthens a running program, weakens a running program, or creates a new program.
Okay.
Now, those two filters are fully formed by the time a child is 8.
Wow.
So before 8 years, children are receiving things raw, first of all. And they're creating beliefs about what they're seeing, what they're understanding, without filters.
Wow, yeah.
This is why up to the age of 8, we've got to be even more sensitive and mindful to the way we approach children and what they're receiving and what they're understanding.
Wow, yeah.
So that raw information already creates beliefs and perceptions in their mind that then they come to see me when they're 40 and 50 and 60 or 30 to say, but my father didn't love me, or my mother didn't love me, or the teacher told me I'm stupid, and stuff like that. Because that program already starts running, right? So when we say, how does the mind function? Your subconscious mind is 90 to 92% of your mind, carrying all your memories, carrying all your programs. So who do you think is actually running your mind?
It's subconscious.
And everybody's walking around thinking, you know, I know how to do this.
Yeah.
From the conscious point.
Yeah.
But all your experiences from the past and all those perceptions and beliefs are what are controlling you. That's even not controlling, maybe not be the right word, is the foundation of how you're bringing people into your life. The kind of experiences you're bringing today is based on that old programming.
Wow.
You don't even realize.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why did I bring such a person into my life? There's two reasons. One is karmic, and I won't go into karmic because everyone has their own belief systems, and karmic is based on the reincarnation, so I won't go there. However, it could be that the karmic connection from other lifetimes, and there was stuff that had to happen this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is that your program from your past, your memory box, is telling you that this person will be good for me, even though there is a red flag saying no.
They're not. Yeah. That's so interesting because I definitely see that in my life in many, many aspects of my life. And it's only after you do something and you think about why you did that you then realize there's something in your past that possibly made you behave like that. And I know like we've personally had discussions about, you know, like how I was raised and things like that. So sometimes I find myself doing something like even, like my relationship now with, you know, the girl's dad and everything, I feel like there's a lot of connections between this relationship and my parents' relationship and how my like body perceived it or my mind perceived it to be the right thing, but then, you know, it probably just wasn't healthy, just the way their relationship wasn't healthy.
And the program.
Yeah.
The program running was, even though you knew that your parents' relationship was not healthy, that's what you knew.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you replicated it.
Exactly. That's what you think is what you should be doing. Yeah, exactly. And I noticed that in so many aspects of my life, and it's only now later on where I'm able to like look back at situations or things that I've done and think about it really and think about my past and just put connections together. And like you're saying, you don't realize you're doing it because your subconscious is what did you say instead of controlling? Yeah, controlling your life.
It's just running your life.
Yeah.
It's the program, it's all the programs in there that are running your life. Hence the reason for people to raise their levels of awareness and consciousness.
Yeah.
It's so important. Because if you're paying attention and you're being aware, you can start catching this stuff.
Yeah.
And when you examine it, then you can ask yourself, is this the old program? What do I need to do with it? What kind of person is going to be good for me? And very often girls will go and replicate their partner.
Yeah.
I love you, Papa Bear.
Yeah. Honestly, it's only until after like me and Wayne were together that I realized I was like, wow, my dad and Wayne are like this. It's so crazy.
Right?
And then like my dad, I love my dad. He's the best dad in the world. But like I get so frustrated at some things. So you can imagine like how now my relationship as well. I'm always just being frustrated. It's so interesting. Okay, what does you've talked on that. Okay, how does toxic positivity affect one's life?
So, with all these people so well dressed, on heels, on no heels, on, externally looking really all together, and internally falling apart. Literally.
Yeah.
Internally falling apart. And this is how it affects people. Outside, there is this thing that we have to show everything is. That's why I love how you are. Really.
Thank you.
Sometimes I feel concerned at the speed you go.
Yeah. Really? I know no other speed.
So sometimes I'm like, okay, child, slow down. However, you just say things as they are. I feel like crap today.
Yeah.
And it's okay. And I don't feel like putting any makeup on today, or I don't feel like really being dressy. And it's okay, right? So this disconnect, the internal disconnect, shows on the outside and the inside. And the the amount of people I have calling me and telling me, how they're suffering inside.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when we don't address this and we try to pretend so that we look and we show others that we are fine when we're not. Why do we pretend? Why do people pretend?
I personally know, I think that's also a generational thing, because I get it a lot from, again, my dad is the best dad in the world. Dad, I love you so much. But like there are times where he's just like, you just gotta be happy, like how you were talking about in the beginning. And for him, somehow, that is a lifestyle that works, apparently. Like he's fine. But for me, when he's, I think so. I think he's fine. I think he's great.
We would definitely. Okay, yeah, we're gonna leave you alone.
Yeah. But like for him, it's just so easy to be like, thanks. He's just like, yeah, you just gotta be positive, you just what is it, chip off your shoulder, or you just, just brush it off, kind of thing. And when he says those kind of things, I'm like, I don't understand how you guys were raised like that, because personally, it doesn't work like that for me. You can't just tell me, be positive. So I feel like there's definitely a generational thing that you get, especially maybe with boys. So I think maybe that's something that's passed down.
I think with boys, it's a whole different story.
Yeah.
I mean, we can have a whole discussion on that, because boys are raised mostly not to feel.
Yeah.
Guys, do you agree? Huh?
Yeah.
Musilia, mukilia, huh? Where's the monome? This is the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, we're talking to part of the team.
Yeah.
I'm not talking to me.
Yeah.
But this is the way. This is another whole conditioning layer that
Yeah.
is so terrible, that boys are raised not to feel.
Yeah.
A whole lot of our problems in relationships is because boys don't know how to feel and are not allowed to feel.
Yeah.
And so their emotional centers have been squashed because they have to be.
Yeah, I said
Huh?
yeah.
So that's where your father's operating from.
Yeah, that's
And,
what, yeah.
and if they cried, chapa.
Yeah.
Yeah? So it's like, no, I had enough of that.
Yeah.
Let me just pretend I'm happy and get on with it.
And get on with life, yeah.
Yeah. So generationally, I don't know if your generation is really saying what they feel. Especially with social media.
Yeah. For me also, another thing that I've realized is how you've been brought up, and depending on like the class you've been brought up, because a lot of people, you have to fake it to sustain this, like in society you look a certain way, and a lot of people are faking it to stay in like that societal clique or whatever. And I think like even a lot of the people I grew up with, sometimes, not a lot of the people, but like I see that with some of the people I grew up with, like they're really certain standards they hold themselves to, and like they have to look a certain way and talk a certain way, and God forbid they drive a different type of car. And so I feel like there's a lot of that going on as well, that makes you feel like you have to put on this mask, which is something that I think I really worked hard to push out of, because I remember having gone through a phase like that, where I was like, I remember there was a day in Paponi where somebody picked me up in a car that wasn't our car, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. And I look back at that and I'm like, I can't believe that somebody drove in and picked me up and dropped me home, and I'm there thinking about how embarrassing the situation is. Like, how messed up is that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So I feel like I also really worked hard to get out of that phase, because that was something that made me feel very unhappy. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, so this is how so many things affect us. So when we talk about the layers and layers and layers and layers, hundreds of layers of conditioning, our own, and then that whole lineage thing that I explained earlier,
Yeah.
we're carrying so much baggage. And you know what? It's taken me all of my life. And I'm still working. Some little gremlin shows up every so often, and I'm like, excuse me? I thought I dealt with you. What are you doing here? And I have to deal with it, because it's at a deeper level of the layers that it's showing up. Like biases.
Yeah.
If you look at how many biases people have.
Yeah.
That one is a heavy one. And they don't even know, because this is not a topic we talk about. But the biases, like, that car thing you're just talking about,
Yeah.
or, whether it's racial or tribal, and
Yeah.
especially if we talk about tribal as we're getting towards the elections,
Yeah.
and, we've carried this for so long, and it's such an old story. We need to leave it behind.
Yeah.
It's not adding value to us as Kenyans, as people, as nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah? And so when we start talking about beliefs, biases, lack of values, all of this, and the layers of it, hey, voila, we can be booked for the next 5 years.
Discussing it. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that all of this kind of things, we still kind of go through that and how it affects us till today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody was asking, how do I know that I'm a toxic person? A toxic positive person?
If you're asking it, you are.
Really? Let me go to that question. What had she said? Wait.
Sorry.
She asked, how do you know you're being a toxic positive person? How do you stop yourself if you are?
So it's as simple as this. The first interview the first interview I had with NTV when I got back 13 years ago, and we were talking about progression, and we were talking about male, female, and it was a fantastic interview. I think it was with Yvonne Aquara, or maybe someone else, I can't remember now. So, a guy called in, and a viewer called in, and he said, you're talking about being honest. We were talking about honesty at that point. And he says, but excuse me, lady, if my wife comes to me and tells me, how do I look in this dress? And she's looking fat. I can't tell her. I said, first of all, we're not talking about the physical part of honesty, we're talking about the internal part. And I said, if she's asking you, let me tell you, she already knows. So she's trying to get a waiver so that she can wear that dress and go out. And if you really love your wife, you want to tell her, you know what, maybe wait. You're on this exercise program, or you're doing this diet, or you've just had the baby. Wait another 2 months and then wear that dress. Right?
Be honest.
Yes. So, this question, how do I know if I'm being a toxic positive? You have enough mirrors around you, the people you relate to, that are already telling you that, something about you in working, and you're having really challenging experiences, and how do you get out of it? We've had the whole last 45 minutes talking about what you mustn't do. It's about really acknowledging what you feel. It's about really examining and identifying who you are, where you're operating from. Are you honest? Are you real? Are you trying to just please everyone and pretend?
Yeah.
Or are you really invested in yourself and in your life?
Yeah.
I trust that answers the question.
Yeah, definitely. Wow. People pleasing is another one. How important is it to have non-productive days? I'm not sure if that's really toxic positivity.
That's okay, we can still answer it. Well, it depends what you call non-productive. What did I say to you? I said, since 2020, I've been working, go. I haven't had really 4 days on my own, and I can't wait
to do that.
To do that from tomorrow. I have 4 days where I'm just going to do nada. Is that non-productive? Not for me. It's extremely productive because I get to not care about anything, because I don't have to plan anything. I don't have to think about my next client. I don't have to think about the next proposal. I don't have to visit anybody. I'm not a good visitor anyway. I can just be by myself. Is that non-productive? No, it's very important.
Yeah.
So we've become a population that's constantly based on ticks,
Yeah.
ticks, to-do lists. At some point you have to stop doing and start being, because you're not a human doing, you're a human being, right?
Yeah.
So you have to learn to be. If that's non-productive for you, for me, it's restful.
Yeah, I have the same thing, and I think I've learned that now with work specifically because I always felt like the need to give an excuse as to why I'm not available that day. Whereas it could literally just be that I've scheduled that day for my mental health or whatever it is. Yeah, for me now doing something that I really enjoy for myself to even like help me just get back in a better place mentally. So those days are so important to me, and I've realized I don't need to give an excuse anymore. Like, oh no, I have a shoot, I can't make it. No, actually, today's my day off. And yeah, I might not be productive in the sense I'm working, but I am productive in taking care of myself, my mentally and physically.
And why do you need to justify to anybody anyway?
Exactly. That's something I've just realized
Why?
recently. Yeah.
You know, why do I have to justify how I'm living my life, how I'm deciding to be to anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, I have this discussion even with my kids, and my kids, it's taken them
Sometime.
a long time for them to even learn to do it for themselves.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's one life, and it's going to go boom.
Yeah.
And you have a problem taking a day or 2 or 5 or 9 to take care of yourself?
Yeah. It's very important. Yeah. It's something I've just.
I don't do busy, you know, we've talked about this, I think.
Yeah.
This word busy, first of all, it irritates the bugger out of me because everybody's running around wanting to be busy, busy, busy. What does that mean about you if you're so busy? For me, busy people don't know how to manage their time. They're disorganized. Because if you're busy, that means you're disorganized. If you're organized, you ought not to be busy.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay.
Does that help you?
I mean, that's food for thought now. Because I'm quite busy. Toxic positivity basically tailors your psychology poorly. Probably the source of delusions. Wait. Probably the source of delusions of grandeur. That's just a statement.
Yeah, that I'm so happy and that I know how to be and that I'm the best version yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But then there's also just the thing of trying to get yourself into a good mood, or forcing it upon yourself. Not that you're trying. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. There's like again, going back to the quotes on Instagram, right? There was a period of time where I was like, you gotta just wake up and just get it done. I don't know, whatever those quotes were, some more deep than others, some just like one-off sentences, and you're still there like, yes, this is really getting me through my day. Yeah. But really, is it? No, not really, yeah.
No, because you're adding more stress to your system.
Yeah.
At that point, maybe the best thing would be to just stop and say, all right, I really am not feeling up to this, I'm just going to take a pause.
Mm-hmm.
Not push yourself.
Yeah.
I'm just going to take a pause. And if that pause is 1 day or 5 days, I'm just going to pause because I'm not feeling it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of people who have the opportunity to do so, like maybe your job, my job. And then there are a lot of people, I don't know, in a 9 to 5 or something who, it's not really possible just to be like, I need to take some time off.
They still have vacation days.
Yeah.
But you see, it's also but it's again the conditioning also. That taking time off means you're A, B, C, there's a whole lot of labels for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's also this other thing that you have to compare, compete, and keep doing like everybody's doing in that sphere of influence, in that age group, in that whatever group it is.
Yeah.
So everyone's trying to be better than the next one. I'm like, oh, how exhausting. Just thinking about it is exhausting.
Yeah, it is. It's truly exhausting, yeah.
It's comparative and competitive and absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
More people, I mean, where is it? Is it Finland or Sweden or where is it where they have now created a 4-day week?
Yeah, I heard about that, yeah. Yes, I know.
Okay, why are they doing that? Because they realize that our lives as human beings, we've become so obsessed with this whole goals, objectives, money, more, consume, that we're forgetting that we're here, we're just passing through, and the most important thing is we are not human beings with a spirit. We're spiritual beings having a human experience.
Wow, love that.
So we're just, and so in that process, what does your life mean? Okay, maybe there's no answer to that question. What does my life mean? 8 billion crazy people running around on this planet. Maybe we don't have an answer to that. However, what are you doing to put meaning in your life?
Mm-hmm.
What is meaningful, and how meaningfully are you living your life? And sometimes the most meaningful thing is to pause and stop. Because you deserve to be quiet. You need to be quiet and just rest.
Mm-hmm.
The body is not a machine. The
Yeah.
mind is not a machine.
Yeah, I love that. Toxic self-care. Can we talk about that? What is toxic self-care?
I'm
Sorry.
not sure I understand the question, because I don't think there's anything like toxic self-care.
Okay.
Because we don't want to self-care the toxic part.
Yeah.
No.
Self-care should be about treating yourself well, right?
Yeah, not the toxic part. The toxic part is identifying and examining and finding solutions and going for therapy and going for coaching and going for whatever it is you need to do, and learning to take your massage if you can, and if you can't, then learning to rest and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think there's anything like toxic self-care.
Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't know. Let me see if there's some answers. Some questions here. Please share this video. Yes, we will be saving it. In fact, it will be going on the YouTube page, the full video, of course, but I will definitely be saving this live. Not many questions, actually. I think you've answered these questions. Yeah, you've answered these. What's a real way to live?
What's a real way to live? What a great question. It's learning to be authentic. And what is being authentic? Being authentic means that you first of all start to work on your own wounds and heal your hurts and your past, because you can't be authentic unless you've healed the internal.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being able to say no. It's about having boundaries. It's about being very direct and being able to say, this doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's about not really being concerned about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
And being true to yourself, as long as yourself is the cleaned up self.
Mm-hmm.
Because your wounded, hurt self is not really your true self.
Wow, okay. Yeah, so you gotta be true to yourself, but you gotta work on yourself first, right?
And that is a lifelong journey.
Okay.
That working on yourself, and again, is it working on ourselves, or is it really coming to terms with the parts of ourselves that have been damaged?
Mm-hmm.
Acknowledging them, accepting them,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole point is denial of those parts of the soul.
Yeah.
And then saying, yes, and now I don't do forgiveness, so I won't go into that.
Now I'm very curious. What do you mean you don't forgive people?
What right have I got to forgive another person for their distortion?
Interesting. I feel like I would like to expand on this. I know this is not the topic, but okay. All right.
What right have I got to forgive you because your behavior or something you did hurt me, but that's because you're wounded? And why do I need to forgive you? What I need to do for me is to acknowledge the hurt, identify what it is that's hurting. Was this a present wound, or was it an old wound that got triggered by your behavior?
Okay. All right.
And then heal me. I'm not going to play God and try to forgive you. Why? Why am I forgiving you? You're doing what you're doing because that's all you know. And how can I forgive you? So mother-father issues, all our mothers and fathers have messed us all up.
Yeah.
And I've messed up my kids. as an example. They don't need to forgive me. They need to acknowledge that that's all I knew.
Yeah.
And I didn't know any better. And at least I can say that over the years, I've apologized to my kids.
Yeah.
And I have sat down and had conversations with them and acknowledged many of the things that I messed up with. Okay? They don't need to forgive me. They need to acknowledge that they were upset, they got hurt, they need to heal those wounds, and they need to get on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay.
It's
Irene's like, yes.
It's different. It's different because, for me, it's more about acceptance. That this came from a place of not knowing, ignorance, baggage, didn't know any better, and that's it.
Yeah. I hear you. I mean, especially because you're talking about your kids. I mean, there are definitely times that I've done something and I'm like, oh gosh, I hope this doesn't scar them later on in life.
Yes.
But all you can do is just, as you said, like apologize and like help them move on with their.
Yeah, because I mean, we didn't come here to be perfect. We're gonna mess up. We're gonna mess up no matter how much you try. You're going to mess up, and it's okay. It's okay because that's part of our duality as human beings.
Yeah.
We cannot just be on one side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the duality, yin yang. Ooh, Irene's wearing that yin yang side. This is the duality. And the duality is dark and light, night and day, and we can't run away from it. This idea of perfections, you know, trying to make everything picture. It's so, first of all, it's so boring.
Mm.
It's nice when things are out of sync.
Adds a bit of fun. Adds a bit of. Okay, all right, Tazim, thank you so much. Honestly, I feel like there are other things that I would like to talk about with you just because there's some things you've mentioned here and I think there's so much conversation to be had, but this is a really good one. And I think a lot of people don't know about toxic positivity, so I hope this sheds some light for some of you. And of course, like I said, I'll be saving this. And I'll put all of Tazim's details so you can find her YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and emails.
All of that.
All of it. So I'll put all the details and share with you. And thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much for doing this with me again.
I'm so happy to do it with you. You're such a ray, and I'm so glad you're coming into yourself.
Thank you.
You really are starting to come into yourself. How old are you now?
30.
30, yes.
30.
Only 30?
Yeah.
You're half my age.
Really?
You're half my age.
Oh. I didn't know. Oh yeah, you're like my dad's age because you guys are friends.
Yeah, but I'm not the happy one. I'm not the happy cricket like you.
Yeah. Just be positive. Just be positive.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a pleasure to do this with you because it flows. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
See, doesn't happen all the time, huh?
Yeah, and I think like I think actually what I was telling my team before I even came was just the fact that I really find it a lot of what you say very interesting and like you're very open to a lot of different conversations, whereas I think when you talk to some people you can see that there's a lot of just like one way thinking and you know in this day and age we need people who think differently and just like you know because there's just anyway, so I've been really wanting to do this and I'm looking forward to the next chats that we're already talking about.
Okay.
And I hope you guys join in and thank you. Please do show some love, engage, like, share, all of that. And if there are any other topics you think might be interesting, please share those as well. But as I said, I'll be leaving all the details so you can find everything. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye guys.
Bye.